the live stream once it shows up in a moment. Wherever it's at. There we go. Oh, turn all my audio down. There we go. Alright, let's get the stream going here for Monday, April 27th, our regular Steelers Depot live stream. We'll get the chat in here. I will have to change the title of the video, I think, but we'll wait a second and get some people in the chat and then get things going with Dave and myself. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy, what is it, Monday? All these days are running
I know,
together.
especially after the draft. You got the pandemic and the draft. I literally don't know what day it is anymore.
Oh, I got a hold of me some bunch of Charlotte tape today.
Nice. Yeah, more of Alex Highsmith. Is it easy to find, Charlotte? It's Conference USA, so I guess it isn't the hardest to find.
It's not the hardest to find, but I've got more than what's already out there, and I want to look at. Obviously, it's been much of his 2019 tape as I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just the craziness with Highsmith is the difference between that 18 tape where he's just using a totally different role that did not fit his skill set at all compared to 19 when he really got to play to his strengths.
I mean, it's crazy. I would have found somebody that I could put in here at defensive tackle,
right.
And let Highsmith play the outside linebacker role there. It's really weird how they utilized him. Of course, they changed that quick, when that new coach came in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was somebody from Minnesota too, in the NFL, right? That was brought in. Forget the
forget what the name of the guy was, the defensive coordinator and all, but big difference when they switched defenses and put him out on the edge there. Mm-hmm. What's up, guys? Do I sound like a robot today?
Yeah, let us know how the audio is. I tested it. I think Dave's okay, but you guys tell me. You guys get to be the judge here, but thank you so much for being here. Mutated Genome, Joel, Grant, Sean, Solarverse, Allie, Howard. Thank you all for being here. You guys are here basically every single week, so we appreciate that.
Grant says audio is good, so I don't sound like I came in on that UFO that released the.
Oh
see that?
Yeah, the Pentagon. Well, that was old. That was found footage from like a year ago, and the Pentagon just released it today, right?
Yeah, but now they say it was UFO, So yeah. I'm out here in UFO country, man, too. And I'm
yeah, you're in Vegas, right? Yeah, you can go to Area 51. I think it'd be cool to go there once. I know it's just a big dirt road and you can't go anywhere fun, but it'd be cool to go to Area 51 one time. I'm
hoping they take me back home sometime. Maybe I'll go out there one time. Maybe they'll pick me up there. But that's it says Nod. You don't sound like an extra from Battlestar Galactica. All right, that's good because I got some Charlotte 49ers tape downloading in the background here tonight. So gonna watch a lot more film for you guys.
Yeah, Mutated Genome gets the question started again. We'll be here. It's gonna be a little shorter today because honestly I'm tired. We've done a lot of talking the last couple of days. So check out the podcast. Check out other stuff on YouTube for our analysis. But certainly we'll be here for about 30-45 minutes to answer your questions. Mutated Genome has the first question. It says to compare and contrast Claypool and Plexico. Not immediately, but later that night after they drafted Claypool, I kind of had that Plexico Burst vibe, and I thought, okay, that one's kind of analogous to Colbert's first ever draft pick.
Wow, a lot different body types, though, man.
What do you think the difference is?
And I think Plexico was more of a long strider, wasn't he?
I think Claypool's a pretty long strider.
I mean, he just. When you think back to like Martavis and Plaxico, those guys kind of ran like gazelles, I don't view Claypool as that kind of glider, personally. But I think that's a little loose of a comparison there.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you guys have any other questions? I could kind of see it just overall, in a blanket comparison, but yeah, I'm sure there are differences.
Maybe a Vincent Jackson may be a better one, right?
Okay, I've read some comparisons to Vincent. Yeah, I dig that.
And bless the kid's heart, people comparing him to Megatron. I mean the measurables and all. That's where it ends right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think obviously Calvin Johnson's a stretch, but just the triangle numbers are kind of comparable.
Look, the kid's got some impressive catches down the field, and I think you've got it pulled up on the screen there. If you scroll back up and look at his average, the stats that I put in that post there, Alex, about the explosive plays and and the average distance thrown down the field there. Those are some impressive numbers, and those numbers even stick out a little bit better than what was it, a 4 or 5 game dive that I did into him way early, I think, after Daniel talked to Claypool at the Senior Bowl there. So look, I mean, just because we thought this kid was, or at least I did, I thought he was more of a third rounder. I mean, he's talented,
Sure.
for sure, and he's going to provide some instant impact, I think, for this team inside the red zone right out of the chute there, and he can get down the field and make some contested catches.
Yeah, you have the number here of Claypool's 40 total explosive plays, ones that gained 20 or more yards. The average air distance was 20 and a half, but I think what's almost more impressive is that he still managed, as you point out, to average 6.8 yards per catch, or yards per after the catch. So not only was he catching the ball deep, he was running afterwards as well.
And not only that average yards per catch number there on those explosive plays, I think a few of these were caught in the end zone too. So there's no,
Right,
there's
no yak.
there's no yak.
Yeah, good point.
On those plays there. So he's a big dude. He can run after the catch and all, and the whole contested catch it thing and getting down the field. Now, I think you mentioned this about the Senior Bowl there. He at times he's 50-50 sometimes with, I think, kind of press coverage getting off the line there.
Mm-hmm. It seems like he's better with an inside release than an outside release. Maybe they just haven't seen enough. Obviously, these guys didn't see a lot of press. But yeah, I mean, just overall quickness and separation are going to be two issues because he's 240 pounds. And he's got an issue that a lot of 240-pound hybrid, receiver tight ends are going to have, which is consistently separating.
And I think sometimes he doesn't against some corners, maybe in some bail type situations. He doesn't do a very good job, I don't think, at stacking those guys sometimes. So the route running's probably a little bit better than I initially gave him credit for. Whereas Michael Pittman was very good at making sure he came back, that he completed his routes on kind of those comebacks and all. I don't think you see Claypool as tight and as crisp on that. Sometimes you'll see him get beat on with a corner that's got good C to do, if you will, and all. You got to be tight on those things at the NFL level. You can't just lackadaisical go up and kind of make your cut and come on your comebacks or on your curls and half-ass do it, if you will, because those will get picked off and returned the other way on you.
Yep, you got to threaten speed, threaten vertical all the time. Stoliver 6, any truth to the Winston rumors? If so, what does that say about the confidence in Mason? No truth at all. I think that got refuted by multiple sources today. There was no interest by Pittsburgh and Jameis Winston.
I don't buy it whatsoever. I didn't buy it right from the get-go. It doesn't make sense from even the way the Steelers do contracts. I know there was that initial report out there that they supposedly offered him more than whatever the Saints offered him, and if that's a one-year deal, which it should be, because Winston would be absolutely silly to sign anything more than a one-year deal right now, there's just no way for the Steelers to make that work. They're not going to build in false years. They're not a team that does false years on a contract to spread a signing bonus. They're not going to guarantee that a huge amount of money to a backup quarterback. They're not going to restructure other players, I wouldn't think, for a player on a one-year deal on a backup. Just everything about the whole Jameis Winston thing right from the start just doesn't add up. And I would be honest with everybody and tell you if I did. Not only obviously I would be against such a move, but everything goes against what the Steelers would do in this situation, especially with the cap situation they're in.
Exactly. So no truth to that. Pay no mind. Reginald Rivers, how many comp picks do the Steelers have for next season? Well, nothing's official. Everything's fluid, as we found out this past year with LJ Fort getting cut. The Steelers having to cut Dante Moncrief, but I believe Nick Corte, at least before the draft, was projecting to give the Steelers 3 comp picks, a 4th and 2 6, I believe. So that is their comp.
That's what I seem to remember as well too, and obviously that can change if somebody gets cut and all. Right. But I mean the comp period obviously ended today at 4:00, so now you can sign unrestricted free agents after today, and it not count as a loss or a gain against you. So we'll just have to see obviously how this plays out. But Nick Corte's done a great job over the years at predicting these things.
And again, guys, feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat. Dave and I will answer for about the next half hour. Grant has a question for Dave. Dave, what was your favorite pick in this class? I know Alex said Dotson was his, but what's yours?
Look, I mean, I'm still going. I'm still trying to dive deep on some of these guys here. I like Dotson. I'm always a huge fan of guards that can move and the old school power style offenses and those guys that can that do the dirty work on the inside there. He's a very likable kid as well too. Heck, he's a grew up a Steelers fan and all like that. So and the value. I that has to play into because look, I don't hate any of these kids, but I think where the value was with Dotson, him being an interior offensive lineman, just some of his tape is just get out of the club type stuff. With him, I would choose him. I tell you, I'm warming up to McFarland a little bit. I've
Okay.
got a bunch of Maryland tape, newer Maryland tape, other than what's out there that I'm going through as well, and starting to warm up a little bit more to him as favorite. I would say Doc.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Dotson. Yeah, McFarland, we're not knocking the player, we're just knocking was that the biggest need and could they have addressed that somewhere else. I'll have a video probably on YouTube about McFarland being an angle buster. I mean, this dude outruns the safety's angles like they're not even moving, so that speed is legit. Let's see. Grant says the only interest there was in Filipponi. That sounds about right. Mutated Genome. We'll circle back to this one. When will McFarland get on the field, and can he block a blitzing inside linebacker? Dave, you want to take that to start?
Yeah, we talked about. We had a quick discussion about that. Some listener emailed in saying, what will prevent this thing turning into a Drew Archer or Chris Rainey type thing. And Alex and I were talking on the podcast this morning. You gotta treat him like a running back first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to put him back there in the backfield, and you got to hand him the football in situations, and then build on top of that. Obviously, when he's in the game as a running back, you don't have to hand the ball off to him all the time, but you have to establish him as a running back, I feel, first. And then from there, you can do other things with him. You can try to throw him the screens out of the backfield and that sort of stuff. If every time you bring him in there and it's some sort of a jet sweep or it's some sort of a line him up in a slot gadget play and you're only playing him 5 snaps a game, well, then you might as well put the flashing red light on his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and here's the thing that's kind of sticking out to me, and I don't know about you, Alex, when kind of taking deeper dives into his tape, which, by the way, now I have every Maryland game from last season that I can't wait to go through. He's put together a lot differently. He really is put together. Someone tweeted out there a mini D'Angelo.
Okay.
And I kind of see that to some degree.
Right.
He's definitely got the speed, and I think you agreed. One of the things that stuck out when looking at his explosive runs was, man, that kid on the football field runs faster than fo.
Yeah, I mean, he's got. I think it's about time speed, but the 4.44 is great speed. I heard somebody say, like, I hope he's not the next Drew Archer. This dude's not Drew Archer. He's a lot more muscular. He's 208. He's short, but he's not necessarily small. So there's a difference there. They
used him in the red zone a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. I do question about the pass blocking though, because I think the tape's limited on that, and just the stature is going to be an issue. I mean, I think there might be effort and want to, and he's got a little bit of a frame, but I do wonder in pass pro you can mitigate that in a couple ways by putting him in the route and linebacker splits and you just throw it to him. But I do wonder how much they're going to trust him in pass protection.
That's one thing that I look forward to looking into in his 2019 tape.
Dakota Smith, rookie that will have the biggest impact. It's an easy answer. I'm going to go Claypool, but that's the easy answer to give, I guess. But I think red zone special teams, he's going to be able to do that year one.
I concur.
Joe Coleman, are there any safeties in free agency left who we could sign? One came on the market today, and I'm not one, obviously, to hype up the guy that just got released and how you got to sign him. I'm not going to write an article on it, but Tayshaun Gibson was released by the Texans today. Signed a 3-year deal prior to 2019. Had a back injury. Yeah, I think kind of had a down year partially because of the injury, but he's still only 29. He's got a lot of production, 100-plus starts, was with Cleveland. Pittsburgh seen him well, played 10 games against them. So if he would come in as a number 3 safety, I don't know if that'll be the opportunity or not. He may get the chance to start somewhere, but Tayshaun Gibson's a name that's on my radar.
He'll need to have special teams value, too.
Yeah, I think he would as a number 3 safety. I just question, there might be a chance for him to play more, because if he's coming to Pittsburgh, in my mind, he's coming in basically as a backup special teamer until an injury arises. Then that role may open up. But other than that, the safety market is really thin. Julian Washington, I don't think separation, this is referring to Claypool, I don't think separation will be an issue because of his size and leaping ability. He's going to be one of those guys that even if he's covered, he's still open. Understood, I think that's a fair point, but the issue with that is just every catch is going to be contested. He'll be able to win with some size and frame, but he'll always have a guy on him, always a guy with a chance to make a play, and I prefer throwing to guys who are open, as in they're creating space, as opposed to ones that are always just contesting and trying to box out based on size.
Look, he's got some tape, especially in the red zone, of him getting some separation. Okay, that's to me is not the issue. I think what we got to look and find a little bit more of is the separation on the post routes and things down, on down the field there. So interested. I think he'll be fine running some of the, if you utilize him on some of those slot fades. I think he'll be good at that. I'm interested to see though, just lining them up and one-on-one on the outside with a corner at the NFL. Can he stack them and get on top of them, especially if they doing some press bell type things. So I think I'm still a little bit early in the look. We're still early, to be honest with all you guys. I mean, we know a lot about all these guys right now, but we don't know nearly enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think he went on some inside breaking routes against outside leverage, but I still just think overall him versus man coverage is going to be an issue for him getting consistent separation, just because he doesn't have the quickness, because he's a 240-pound kind of guy. Dakota Smith, when do we see the Steelers start to sign guys to extensions that have contracts that expire after the season? You would say this year's going to be unusual potentially, but later into the summer you might see the Hayward extension or some other deals get done. Is that about fair?
Well, obviously they have until July 15th to do Bud Dupree.
Right.
So,
but beyond
there's
other
that.
Guys, yeah, other guys.
With Cameron Hayward, it can happen anytime. I mean, Jerry Dulac sure made it sound a few weeks ago like it was going to happen 2 weeks ago. So that could happen at any time. Other than that, though, who I don't know who people are really kind of expecting to get extended here.
Yeah.
It's pretty much probably going to be Hayward, possibly Bud Dupree. I mean, I don't see them doing anything with Connor or Watt.
Villanueva.
They could, but his cap hits will undoubtedly go up. And you got to pay him if you're going to do an extension with him. You got to do some fair, give him a heck of a raise, I think, on top of it there. So I'm not convinced that gets done either there. I think you're probably potentially looking at Hayward and maybe Dupree possibly being it.
But if it were to get done, it would be more summertime is when they do those deals. It's closer to camp.
I would think so, especially in this pandemic, environment and all too. And, if there's no hurry on it, you want to make sure these guys get through unscathed, if you will.
Muhammad Ali, I think that they really believe in UG3, not even drafting an inside linebacker. Yeah, I think in terms of guys that were on the roster that were big winners, I would say UG3, James Conner to an extent, and Big Dan McCullers. Anyone else you would add in there, Dave?
No, that's a notable list right there too.
And I'm high on Gil, but I know that as a projection he hasn't played a lot of football. But there are some guys we just have to kind of say we've seen just enough from him to think that he can be something. And UG3 is one of those guys, and not asking him to start this year, play a lot right away. But I think he has the traits to play on defense at some point and fill in if there's an injury. So I'm really excited about seeing Gilbert III in his sophomore season. Captain Spartan 04, thoughts on Damon Harrison? I know it's unlikely, but it would be someone with starting experience. Listen, I'm not going to turn down any of these guys at this point, but however old he is, into his 30s, that's not the Steelers' MO, and he's probably going to cost a little bit as well.
Any of these guys, who is the other, Mike?
Daniels.
Any of these guys are going to have to be minimum salary benefit guys, I think, meaning minimum salary, and plus you get a little bit of a discount salary cap wise on a 1-year deal. Forget what the maximum signing bonus is now on this year on a minimum benefit contract. I think it's around 90,000 or 100,000 or something like that. So I can't see them doing anything other than a minimum salary or much more.
Jay Wills, Tomlin or Colbert never said where Doxson would play. He played right guard in college. Will he have to move to left guard, or does DeCastro make a late career switch? Now, DeCastro is going to stay at right guard. Colbert did say that Doxson is a guard, so he will have to flip to left guard. I think his experience there is either none or very limited, so that will be a bit of a transition for Kevin Doxson. Joel Coleman, with Queen falling in the lap of the Ravens, in hindsight, does it seem the trade for an off-the-ball linebacker in Bush was too expensive? No, I don't like to rewrite history like that. I'm not mad about getting Devin Bush, and you can't say, well, let's not trade for Devin Bush last year because we might get somebody the next year. I don't like doing that revisionist type of history.
No, that's not good to gamble that way. If you like the guy, you go get him.
Mm-hmm. I'm not mad about the trade, even in hindsight. Captain Spartan 04, what was your reaction in the second round once everyone we got excited about potentially being a Steeler started flying off the board? I just get nervous for these picks. I don't have that much of a reaction one way or another. I'm just nervous for finding out who the guy is and reacting to it and hoping I know something about him too. That was my fear, was just the guy they would draft that I really wasn't too familiar with and somebody that I couldn't comment on too much.
Yeah, we hope that we have a profile on him already written up,
and we did.
It would be embarrassing if we did not, with all the 200 something profiles that the guys did and all like that. So thankfully, it was that. Look, I mean, a lot of people started to get excited in that first round. So, oh, the wide receivers are falling. The wide receivers are falling. And look, it didn't take long for that run to start going there and all. Yeah. I've done this long enough. I start getting a little bit excited 2 or 3 picks away and then starting to look at who might slide there. But I think the biggest thing was just readying ourselves to make sure we could get things going up on the site in a timely manner there.
I still have a LaVisca Chenault profile in drafts forever because I was really afraid that he might be the pick. And when it came, did you really have any inkling of who they were going to draft? Like, say pick 48 was in or they were on the clock? I had no idea what direction they were going to go at that point.
No, because like I said, I had Claypool a little bit further down the list. I was coming to the grips with reality that it could possibly be one of those 2 running backs.
Right.
I was in the process of making sure the wife had the gun safe locked.
Oh my God. Okay. Easy.
But no, I mean, look, Pittman went off. A lot of the guys. I thought maybe Mims. There was a chance at Mims because he was on the board there. But I had a feeling though it was going to be wide receiver or running back. Really,
yeah.
By the time the board shook out a couple of picks away.
Kevin Stamber, between drafting Brooks Jr. and signing Treyon as a UDFA while not going for a high-end inside linebacker, does this suggest more formations with Bush as the lone inside linebacker more likely? I think that was going to happen regardless of really who they drafted. In Dime this year, I fully expect Devin Bush to be the one and only inside linebacker on the field.
And you charted the heck out of that. So if anybody knows what they did towards the end of last season, it's you.
Grant Humphrey, what are the odds they sign a safety in free agency? I mean, who knows? I hope they do because I am not comfortable with the depth they have right now or the lack of depth they have right now.
Yeah, but who? That's the question. You know, what? I've gone back through to kind of the pre-draft visitor list, and look, there's going to be a couple of cuts that are going to be made. In the next couple of days, we saw a couple of those happen. I'm sure the Steelers will be watching the waiver wire on top of everything else there. So, yeah, it would be nice if they got a little bit more experience back there.
Just more talent too.
Jordan Dangerfield's a guy that come out of this weekend kind of maybe a semi-winner,
Sure. Him and Marcus Allen, their odds definitely looked up a little bit. Yeah, that's why I mentioned Tayshaun Gibson as someone that was cut that I think, could play free safety and a guy with some good ball skills and has a decent amount of interceptions in his career. Mutated Genome asks, with the McFarland pick, does that mean either Kareth White or Samuels is gone? If so, who's out? It's hard to see them keeping both. I think they're fighting for one spot. I think we typed this on the podcast this morning. Definitely leaning towards, if they pick one, Samuels over Kareth White.
Yeah, both of them probably not feeling too good. Both of them probably didn't sleep too terribly well the last couple of nights. I'll tell you that because depends on obviously how many running backs they keep and how many people stay healthy and all like that. But it's hard envisioning obviously Connor not making it. Obviously, Benny Snell, and then the draft pick in McFarland. That's 3. You add in a fullback in Watt. You got room for maybe one more. I'll tell you someone that's not going to be, and that's Trey Edmonds.
Yep, no chance for him. I will have my way too early 53-man roster prediction in the morning on Steelers Depot. So you'll see what I do at the running back position there, Mutated Genome. AJC, is there a good chance for the undrafted punter to start the 2020 2020 season. I know everyone wants to push out Jordan Berry every year, and I have not
It
gotten...
wasn't as bad as what people make it out to be.
It was a bad end. It was a terrible end. The last month was atrocious, but everything before that actually was pretty good. I haven't gotten too much into... What's his name? Corliss Waitman? Is that his name? I think so. I know he's left-footed, according to one of the reader emails today, which is interesting. And Dave's brain remembered the last left-footed punter on the podcast today. But I wouldn't get your hopes up for Barry losing his job out of the gate.
Yeah, they'd have to have a lot of trust, you know. And look, I'm not saying that Barry can't, isn't replaceable by no means, but it's going to have to be somebody they view as a clear upgrade.
Captain Spartan 04, I think we mainly passed on Tyler Biadasz and Shane Lemieux because of focusing on improving the run game, and that's why we prioritize Dotson more. Am I right to assume this? Yeah, I think the Steelers wanted them all. That's why I was pointing to guys like John Simpson and also Dotson. I tweeted about that a couple picks before the pick was made. I think they wanted that more road grader, somebody in the mold of Ramon Foster, but maybe even a better run blocker too. Chan, what happens to our current receiving core now? Who will get less playing time with the Claypool pick? I don't know if anyone's going to see a big reduction in play time. There are going to be some red zone packages that'll be interesting to see who becomes odd man out. Potentially James Washington. Maybe even they don't go with a running back. I think there's some creativity there. But, I mean, to start the year, it's still going to be Deontay, Juju, and James Washington.
Right, and think back to last year. Had Dante Moncrief not dropped the proverbial ball, how much of we would have seen Deontay as the season progressed. Probably a little bit more and more, but would we have ended up seeing him as much as we ended up seeing him if Dante Moncrief does what he's supposed to do early on in the season there? So kind of expect them to treat Claypool kind of the same way. I think they will try to get him on the field. Look, the guy's going to dress and play special teams, so you don't have to worry about that, I wouldn't think. The question is can you get him 8 snaps here, 12 snaps week 2, start building up a little bit on his snaps, and how does he do in those situations, and then how does he do when you add more and more to his plate? Because look, make no mistake about it, this offseason, you want to talk about keeping it simple with some of these guys, because of not having on the field work. It's really going to, they're really not going to probably load a lot of these guys up. And yeah, Claypool seems like a smart kid and all like that, but he's got to gain Ben Roethlisberger's trust. He's got to gain the trust of the rest of the offensive coaches there. So I think, obviously you try to get him on the field a little bit starting out and try to raise him up and all. I don't know if there's any one person that's going to suffer from it. I just think maybe you'll see a little bit of rotation more, especially as the season goes on with guys like Washington. Maybe Juju get a couple snaps off here and there as well too.
And what's your old saying, Dave? It's funny how these things take care of themselves.
Yeah, it does. They magically just seem to work themselves out sometimes.
Someone gets hurt, someone doesn't play well, whatever else happens. I mean, there'll be a chance for playtime. I mean, you make the great point about rookies this year, the tough transition, so it's going to be even tougher for him to kind of really earn that trust and feel comfortable right away, so he may see limited snaps. Like I said, I think red zone, specialty packages, special teams is going to be his path year one. So let's see. Eric McDay says Eric Reed in terms of safety options. Yeah, that's another option out there. I don't know if the Steelers would be too interested in Reed, and there was a little history there with that shot he had on Ben and all that. So, but potentially, I'm not really turning down any sort of name right now. Mutated genome.
He'd have to be cheap too, and he's going to end up signing, I think for a little bit more than cheap. Whatever cheap is, add about a couple $1 million to it.
Mutated genome asks me, after watching more tape on Claypool, do you still prefer Mims? If so, why? I do. It is relatively close because they are similar guys. I just thought Mims' highs were even higher than the highs of Chase Claypool. I think he's a little bit more upside, where he's a little less of a finished product in one sense, but he can grow a lot more. I think he's a little bit quicker, and Claypool just always being that bigger guy, and how well will he be able to create separation is going to be a bit of an issue for me. So they are similar guys. I get the point you're making. Good blockers. Obviously, they can high point the football. They're big body types, but I did like Mims more than Claypool. Captain Spartan 04, were you surprised that Bradley Anae and Curtis Weaver fell so far? If not, who was the guy you were surprised fell so far? A little bit on Weaver too, but when you're an edge rusher that doesn't test well, and Anae tested terribly, and Weaver doesn't look great on tape like a super athlete, and his testing was just okay. It was a good 3-cone, that was about it. I mean, those guys will tend to fall. Somebody I'm surprised that fell. trying to think. Matty Buchanan in the third round surprised me. Mims falling to 59 or 50 something past the Steelers surprised me. So those are two that come to mind. Dave, anyone that surprised in terms of how much they fell?
Oh, what did we say this morning? I don't have it back in front of me right now, so I've been my short-term memory kind of. I had to thumb through this while you take the next question.
Yeah, let's see. Dr. Bell TV. Will Claypool... Actually, let me go to Donald here, then I'll go to Dr. Bell TV. Since no return specialist was selected, the Steelers go with Switzer as the primary return guy. It'll be interesting in the punt return game. I think Deontay can still do punts. I don't think he's disqualified from that just because he's the starter now. How long do they have AB as the punter back there, even though they try to get him off at some points? In the kick return game, yeah, that's a good question. Switzer could be in the mix. You got Kareth White, and although he really didn't do it in college, save for one return, I think McFarland will get a look back in the kick return game. I think there's a skill set for him to be an asset there.
There's no reason whatsoever, bless his heart, for Ryan Switzer to make this roster, in my opinion.
Well, I think if I were to play devil's advocate, I would say just in terms of having somebody that at least theoretically can play in the slot besides Juju, and Ben loves him, so I don't know. They keep him around.
Yeah, Ben does like him, but he just doesn't, in my opinion, offer you anything offensively.
Yeah, no, I mean I hear that for sure. Dr. Bell TV, will Claypool help Juju? I'm not quite sure in what sense you're asking that. I guess it would help keep Juju inside in the slot a little bit, but I don't really see Claypool having an immediate impact one way or the other on what Juju can do. Juju just needs to stay healthy, and Ben needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, that'll help everybody there. Yep.
If
everybody's healthy here, you put these guys. Look, you've got Ebron, which is really a lot of measurables really close to Claypool's, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look at those across the board there, the thing with Claypool too, the last two seasons, right around 20% of slot time, so he doesn't have a lot of experience in the slot, right? And I think Randy even say they're going to start him off outside initially there. So that's how he's going to start seeing the field initially on the outside there. What's going to help everybody, Juju, Deontay, and look, Deontay made enough of an impact, I felt, during his rookie season there that teams are going to have to start taking a little bit of notice on that. And really, for that matter, James Washington, down the field made some nice grabs as well too. So if everybody stays healthy, that's going to help everybody. And I know that's kind of a Captain Obvious loose statement, but it's the damn truth when it comes to the way this offense is right now.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Kajana Haney, should we expect Sutton to play more deep center and dime packages, allowing Edmonds and or Fitzpatrick to play more along the line of scrimmage? Well, I think the team and Fitzpatrick was pretty clear about needing to rotate him and move him around. Sutton did a little bit of that last year in some pre-snap disguise looks where he would bail to center field or the half field, and Fitzpatrick or Edmonds would roll down. So yeah, I think you could see a little bit more of that, because certainly you don't want to just stick Fitzpatrick as the post safety and have offenses be able to throw away from him as much as they did the back half of last season.
That's the biggest thing there. You got to get away from them being able to identify the post safety a lot, and you got to make them have a little bit of fear elsewhere, and obviously a good pass rush, a continued good pass rush will help the entire secondary out as far as that goes. But yeah, they do have to find a better way of disguising some things and getting Mika line at times.
AJC, when is the supplemental draft about? Is that in early July? I forget the timetable on that. July for the supplemental draft? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, I don't remember. It's obviously after the regular draft there, but I don't expect the Steelers will be participating in it.
I don't think they've ever made a supplemental selection before, if memory serves correctly. Fly High PA, do you think the Steelers pay Juju next season? Well, I think that's partially based on what Juju does this upcoming season, but ultimately, yeah, I think the people that are proclaiming this is definitely Juju's last year are being too hyperbolic, as you might say.
Yeah, and look, I make sure to mention this only just to have people, keep it in the back of their mind. His contract expires after this season. He is probably not going to sign an extension this offseason. So because of those two things, you have to open up the realm of possibility of him hitting March as a free agent. You just have to. Now, the ways you obviously prevent that, if he goes back to having an 80 catch season for over 1,000 yards and 7-8 touchdowns, then the Steelers are going to have to decide if they want to place that franchise tag on him, because that's really the only way you're going to prevent him from hitting free agency. Now, will Juju want to stay? Probably, but you got to remember this is the NFL, which stands for not for long. So you got to cash in maximum when you can cash in. So if he has a good year, if he stays healthy and he puts up numbers somewhat similar to a couple years ago, then I think there's a good chance of him staying. But I don't think we can sit here, Alex and I think we would be doing a disservice, both Alex and I, on sitting here in late April saying, oh yeah, Juju's definitely going to be part of this team in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I don't want to guarantee it, but I still like the odds of him coming back.
Sure, I do too, but I wouldn't bet my house on it. Mm-hmm. So that's where I am on it.
Vergen in the Alulu starts at nose tackle. Maybe. I mean, someone has to. He's never done it before, and that's the concern with the nose tackle position. Chan asks, do you think Claypool could be a potential tight end project? Probably not. I mean, there could be some different packages for him, but the Steelers view him as a wide receiver. Donald Nolan, what do you predict the quarterback depth chart will look like? How many quarterbacks will they keep? I assume it'll be 3, Ben, Rudolph, and I'm warming up to your idea of Paxton Lynch making it over Duck Hodges.
Why are you warming up to that now?
I don't know. I just thought about it some more, and Colbert seemed to always, have spoken highly of Paxton Lynch every time he gets asked about him, saying he's a former first-round pick, and he's made some wild plays in practice, and don't forget about Paxton Lynch when talking about the quarterback room. But could go either way. Captain Spartan 04, who is the favorite to replace Artie as the 5th corner, potentially one of the XFL guys, if we even signed an XFL corner. I don't know. I mean, I think in terms of a gunner in special teams work, Justin Lane took over Artie's role last year, and I think Cam Sutton can still play on the outside. So I'm sure, Justin Lane, he was an underclassman last year, sophomore year. They're expecting a big jump out of him. M. Kaiser, hey fellas, does McFarland have any experience in pass pro? Looking at some of his games, I didn't see much of it. That's something we talked about today. I imagine it's limited, but I know Dave and I have to kind of go through that tape a little bit more to see what that experience is like.
I will probably know by this time next week, because I've got a lot of new, just got a hold of a lot of full Maryland games, ones that I didn't have already. So I will be scouring that for this next week, his 2019 tape for that.
Joel asks, is it time to invest in the tackle position next draft? Potentially. You got 3 guys that could be free agents. Banner, Filer, and Villanueva all have their contracts set to expire after this season. We'll see who gets re-signed, who doesn't, but certainly tackle could be a play in 2021. Grant asks, how many rotational snaps can we expect to see Highsmith play this year? If he was the number 3 and he's playing 10 to 15 snaps a game, I mean, that do the math on that. Let's call it 150 to 200 snaps as a rotational guy this year. Steve Williams, McFarland reminds me of Jamal Charles, Dalvin Cook. What do you think? I haven't thought about a comp yet. You mentioned, D'Angelo Williams is kind of a comp for that?
Baby D'Angelo.
Baby D'Angelo. And you base that off of just the size and explosiveness?
It was thrown out there, and I'm kind of the way he's put together.
Okay, yeah.
A little bit, squattier and a little bit more meat on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people to compare him to Dalvin Cook. I can kind of get that, but I might find a different comp than that. Dr. Bell TV, do you think this will be Glassman's last year, James Conner? My guess is yes, this will be last year for James Conner in a Steelers uniform. Cap, or go ahead. If you wanted to wait.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I mean, he'd have to have an incredible season and somehow get the tag, and I just don't, I just don't see that happening.
Captain Spartan, I know we just drafted Dotson, but if Chooks doesn't win the right tackle job, are you any bit concerned about our ability to draft offensive linemen? Hawkins also didn't pan out. No, I wouldn't. I mean, we won't know that answer for a while, or at least in terms of Dotson and Chooks not winning the job. We'll see. That wouldn't be my first issue, though, with if Chooks doesn't win the job, because maybe Banner just played really well.
If you're going to knock some of these offensive linemen for being drafted and not working out, make sure you give the praise on several of these undrafted players that wind up making the team and playing well. So, look, it's not an exact science. But I will say this: it will be disappointing if Dotson does not pan out to be a starter. It will. I've seen enough tape on him where they got him. I'll be disappointed if he doesn't wind up being a starter. Not this year, of course. Unless he makes his sophomore season. One would hope and think that he would have a shot at doing that.
All right, a couple more questions here, then we're going to wrap up the stream. Chan's asked about Steelers and Jameis Winston. We both think that any rumors were just totally false. There's no nothing there, as Captain Spartan points out. He's going to the Saints. Vergan, do you think they sign a safety, Rashad Jones or Tony Jefferson? I would like to see them bring in somebody else. Remains to be seen if they will. Kajana,
how old are those two? Jones and Jefferson's like 42, ain't he?
And he's coming off a pretty serious injury. I think suffered against Pittsburgh last year.
And Jones, I think Jones is older too, ain't he? Like 30-something, and the Steelers just normally stay away from those over 30 defensive players.
Right, and the Dolphins tried to trade Rashard Jones to Pittsburgh last year, and they said no and gave us Minka, and that's what ended up happening there. So maybe, but I still like Deshaun Gibson more than those names. Kajana Haney, what are your expectations for Edmonds this season? What would be a successful season for him? Turnovers. He's got to take the football away. He has not done that in his 2 seasons.
Impact plays.
Yep, impact plays. Donald Nolan, who gets more playtime this year, Eric Ebron or Derek Watt? Definitely Eric Ebron, unless there's an injury factor, but if both are healthy, it should be Eric Ebron by a fairly decent margin. Thank you, Mutated Gino. Steve asks, are you surprised we didn't draft a tight end? Nope, I'm not surprised given the investment in Ebron and the relative weakness of the class. You're not surprised either, I assume, Dave.
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. And then last question to get us out of here for Vergan is it time for Colbert to go? I'm not sure exactly what you base that off of, but no, although just in terms of his own, life's work, I mean, he may only be here for 2-3 more years. He's kind of hinted at retirement, going year by year with stuff, so I think his replacement may be already in the front office with Brandon Hunt. My guess is, and I have a decently educated guess at this, Brandon Hunt will be the next Steelers GM whenever that time is. Dr. Bell TV, our live stream schedule is every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're cutting it a little bit shorter today. You can go back and listen to the podcast where we kind of talk about all this stuff. So thank you, Grant, so much. Yep, Mutated Gino, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to wrap up the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Dave, thank you for being here. We'll be back next Monday. And for the podcast, we're going to do the podcast on Friday. So we're going to be off until Friday. If any major news happens for like Wednesday, we'll do a Wednesday show. But assuming it doesn't happen, we'll be back on the podcast on Friday. And I will have a roster prediction in the morning on Steelers Depot. So thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.